Hello. Welcome to another cozy episode of playing Stardew Valley for the first time. Currently, we're in winter. This is our very first winter in this game, and I am really excited. And we're gonna start our day with unloading our little inventory. If you're new here, I give you a very warm welcome. Hi, I'm Yor, and I make comfy videos to help you sleep and study. Usually I play Stardew Valley, which is this exact series that I am playing. It's called playing Stardew Valley for the first time. And I'm also looking forward to playing Animal Crossing Horizons, as well as Sims 2, which is another very nostalgic, comfy ASMR lifestyle simulator game. I've been loving Stardew Valley so far, and it's just fun, like meeting my hens. This is Agent C and Baxi. I will be getting new chickens in some time. These are my little melons. And recently I did another series from the game called Unpacking. It's a really nostalgic, wholesome game following this girl who, from her childhood room, we follow her life till she moves out for college, and then moves into her first own flat, and then moves in with her boyfriend, and then breaks up, and then moves into another space, and then finally settles down. And we get to organize and unpack all her belongings, and basically, oh, Prince joined. Hi, Prince. And basically just make her home cozy, and we can literally move around items, and it's a really, I'd say, therapeutic game, especially when you're trying to rest and sleep. So yeah, if that sounds interesting, make sure to check it out. I'll put the playlists down in the description. I also have another playlist which is for all the videos that I make where I'm playing a cozy game and helping you sleep. So that playlist contains all videos. It's not bound to one game. And then also, of course, I have my Stardew Valley playlist, so I'll put all of them below just for you. I really like the sound of walking in white snow. I think it's really comfy, but only the white parts though. The other parts, it's like this grass walking sounds that I don't quite like, but it does make up for ASMR. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I might also be starting Minecraft, which I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I am like fairly new to the game, and I've been seeing this concept of a forever world in Minecraft going around recently, so it looks really interesting. It's basically where you create a world and you keep it and you don't delete it, so it's like months of your hard work, and the houses and the places that you build are like, it's like they're all there and you can like show it. So I'm kind of really excited to do that. It will be my first time playing. I'm really excited to build very aesthetic cottages, maybe a castle, and I look forward to that. I love talking to townspeople. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're well, ready to be at rest, or ready to do your chores, or do your laundry, do the dishes, study. I hope my video can act as background noise and at the same time give you company during your rest or your work or your chores. So yeah, I personally, when I find it hard to fall asleep at night, I prefer, we're going in this room's, I think it's Prince's first time discovering that we can actually open these doors. Which, by the way, we're both noobs at this game, so if you do beginner mistakes, just enlighten us in the comments. But we're doing our best. Yeah, so usually when I want to put myself to sleep through videos like this, I always go for the soft talking, almost whisper, And so I thought, well, if I personally enjoy that, there might be thousands of other people who enjoy the same. That's when I decided to whisper almost, or talk in a very, very soft, whispery voice, like I am right now. Because, yeah, I didn't quite do that before. I still talked softly, but not as soft as this. So I've started to do that now, and I think it's way more relaxing for people to put them to sleep. So, yeah, I hope you can clearly hear whatever I'm trying to say, and that the mic is picking up all of it. And, guys, sometimes, especially in the beginning when I first started making these videos, I would actually put my own videos at night to fall asleep to, and it really did help me. It really did help me put myself to sleep, and even Prince puts my videos up to fall asleep to during the day, because it's kind of harder to fall asleep during the daytime when you're trying to take a nap. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I personally think if there's even one person watching my video, and if my videos help just one person to fall asleep or rest or calm down or gives them company, that's enough. That's enough for me to keep making them. And well, I am one person because I personally enjoy it. And I know Prince does, so that's enough of a reason for me to keep making them. But if you're there and if you're listening, if you have any constructive criticism, maybe some tips, or maybe just things that you prefer to see in videos like this that you want me to incorporate, please let me know. And I will do my best to deliver these videos with the most comfy, the most amount of comfy that I can provide. Yeah. So I am really comfy right now as I record this. Usually I always play Stardew Valley when I'm feeling kind of, sleepy. Because it's just a relaxing game. Other than the fast-paced timing of this world, the time in Stardew Valley goes by really, really fast. So, other than the rush of just getting all the stuff done before 2 a.m., which is actually before 12 a.m. because from 12 to 2, that's the time that it takes to get back to home successfully and get in bed before we pass out. So, yeah. I love collecting these corals and seashells and mussels and sea urchins from the beach. They sell for pretty good too, as for early game, like me. And I don't know if you noticed, but I always add extra beach waves sounds in my videos, always on Stardew Valley videos, because I think it adds to the ASMR aspect and it adds to the comfy. And since this is a beach farm, like when you choose which terrain to have your farm on, I chose beach. Fun fact, you cannot place sprinklers on your farm in a beach house. But yeah, so I have to manually do this, water all of them. But I wonder if there's an alternative for sprinklers where I could automate the process of putting water on my plants. Maybe there's a mod for it, but honestly I'm new to mods. I've never done it before. So, oh my gosh, the corals sell for so good, I'm telling you. 720 is insane. Yeah, that's why I love beach picking. I love beaches in general, to be honest. I really enjoy them. I've always been to the beaches and near the coast ever since I was a child. And it's because I'm half from that region. So we would go there a lot since I was a child. We would go there for the summer to spend time with our relatives on my mom's side. And it's just really comforting. I love the sounds of the beach. I love the breeze The sea breeze, oh my gosh, it's so relaxing. I love the smell of beaches. And it's not like you imagine, like, it's not fishy. It's kind of salty, yeah, and sandy, yeah. Mostly, I smell the I smell the coconuts. I smell the palm trees. I smell the waves. It's just so refreshing. It smells refreshing. And I really like that. In my last video, I read a few Reddit stories. So I wonder if I could continue that for this game. Should I find some? Maybe I should. Maybe I should find some. Let's see. Alright. Let me search. Let's go to Reddit. Guys, should I do scary ones? I remember when I was a bit younger, with my cousins, we would always put animated horror stories from YouTube, specifically from this one channel called Snarled. It was nostalgic. Just thinking of that time feels nostalgic because we were kids and like we would get scared from the animated versions. And Snarled, to be honest, it was kind of scary because the narrator would, narrate it in a adult scary way, not a child scary way. That's what spooked us. Alright. Okay, let's do the scary ones. I'm reading the first one. This is under the thread called Ghost Stories. North Jersey in the mountains. Our family home was part of a mining railroad system. The old railroad was in our backwoods. Our home was an old slaughterhouse, livestock farm. Dug up skulls and bones my whole childhood. We actually had the ruins of the old slaughter mill in a field with a blood drainage system to a pit with lots of bones. My entire childhood shit would fly off my shelves onto the floor, or you'd set an object down on the counter and it would be gone. I actually witnessed these things. Sometimes I would feel someone sit on my bed too. As a young adult, I constantly burned sage in my room to try and get rid of whatever was stuck in my room. My parents remodeled the house and found a bunch of animal bones buried in the foundation. And by foundation, I mean a pile of dirt with wood set on top of it. Eventually, I felt the scary thing leave my room, but there was another ghost still present. During COVID, I moved back in with my parents, and a few times a week I would hear their heavy door open and shut. They had a porch and deck with multiple doors, so air pressure literally could not cause a door slam. I hear heavy footsteps downstairs and yell, "Hey, Dad." No response. Check parents' window that overlooked the driveway, and of course no one would be home. Parents are still in this house and say that they constantly find all the kitchen cabinet doors open. Or they hear stuff in my old room that sounds like a bookcase falling over, and they'll rush up and everything will be perfectly fine. Or things will go missing and they'll find them in my old room. When they're reminded where the attic door staircase became my mini bathroom. My dad never believed in ghosts, but now that he has retired, he 1000% believes we got ghosts. He was in the military, so he thinks it's funny and calls the ghost Gladys, but definitely prefers to spend his time outside. My mom does not think it's funny at all, and I'm just glad I live very far away and refuse to stay with them when I visit. Okay. There's another one. I'm gonna read it now. It's the very first post I made on Reddit last year. The Mimic. That's the title, I assume. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I call it the Mimic. When I was 17, for almost a whole year, almost every time my mom and sister were out of town for the day shopping, and I was home alone, I'd hear it. Keys jangling in the front door, the click of the lock, the scrap of the door sliding open and closed as the dogs rushed to the front door, barking to greet whoever just came home. I'd hear my mom or sister tell the dogs to stop and that they live here, and the dogs would stop barking and go about their business. I would get up and go to say hi and help out things away, but nobody would be there. It stopped happening once I started staying in bed and calling my mom to see where they were instead of getting up to greet them. Once, after my mom had surgery, she was staying at her parents' place for a few weeks to heal. I brought my dog for a walk, and when I came home, my mom's dog, who was asleep in her room, started barking. I heard my mom tell Shelby, "Stop barking." And after a few more barks, she listened and stopped. I ran to my mom's room to say hello. I hadn't seen her in a few weeks at that point and didn't know she was coming home. But her room was empty. I still don't know what it was or why the dogs listened to the disembodied voice. I don't know why it was stealing my family's voices. A lot of other shit happened at the apartment, from knocking in the walls, to claws scraping down my closet door. In the same apartment, my sister had just left to her boyfriend's, and my mom was at work. Started feeling sick one day. Grabbed a banana and went to my room to try and feel better. Almost as soon as I got on the bed, I heard knocking coming from inside the walls. I could replicate it exactly by knocking my knuckle against the wall. I called my sister crying because I didn't know what it was, and she came home. But just before the front door opened, the knocking stopped. She made sure I was alright and left again, and everything was quiet. I stood up to go throw my banana peel away, and as I was walking past my closet and out of my bedroom, I heard one final knock on the walls. A few months later, I rearranged my bedroom and set up a little reading corner where I was leaning against my closet in a little blanket nest I made on the floor. It only happened when I was leaning against the door for over 20 minutes, but any time I would be reading in my little nest, I would hear and feel the vibrations of the door rumbling against my back. What sounded like claws dragging down the inside of the closet door, trying to get out. It only happened 3 times before I rearranged my room again. This time I put my bed against the closet door so anything in there couldn't get out. Mind you, my closet was completely full to the top. A kitten couldn't fit in there. So I don't know where the sound was coming from, but it certainly wasn't the 3 garbage bags pressing against the door. I still heard things coming from my closet after moving my bed against it, but I felt safer knowing it couldn't get out. I still don't know what was in that apartment, but I'm glad it didn't follow me when we left. Okay. Alright. Another one. I got a story for y'all. You guys tell me if you think it was paranormal or not. About 2 years ago, my girlfriend and I had our 3-year anniversary. We had a great dinner in downtown LA, and she had a little surprise for me. After, she rented a pool in the Hollywood Hills for us through this app called Swimply. I had never heard of this app, nor would I ever think to rent out a pool in someone's backyard. Just not my thing. But my girlfriend was excited about it and thought it would be romantic. To be honest though, I really wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to do it, but she had paid a decent amount for it and I didn't want to be a buzzkill. My intuition told me as we started our drive to the Hollywood Hills, this isn't a good idea. Multiple times. I had a gut feeling that going up to this house up in the Hollywood Hills was just not a good idea. Also, she had this reservation through Swimply from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We got out of dinner around 8:30 p.m. So we were gonna get to this house late. We get to the house, park, and it's just so dark and quiet up in those hills. Didn't see a car pass by us once we got to the hills. Didn't really see anyone out walking, though it is nighttime. In order to get into the backyard, you need a code. We had a code, and we told that we'd have this backyard to ourselves for 2 hours with no other company. The first thing that weirded me out slightly is that the gate was already open. No code was needed, which was odd to me. We get into the backyard and there's a jacuzzi and a pool. The pool has a top on it though, so we didn't get into it. It was a very cold night in Los Angeles too, so we just sat in the jacuzzi. I had a very weird feeling when I walked into the backyard, one that I can only describe as vertigo. I look into the house a little bit from the backyard and see a couple of lights on, but it's pretty dark. Couldn't tell if anyone was home or not. After a couple minutes though, I got the feeling where if you keep on looking into the house, you may see something you don't want to see. We didn't have any music or anything, just the cold wind, the the loud slap of the top going against the pool, and a wind chime going above us in the jacuzzi. It's about 9:15 and I finally tell my girlfriend it's time to go. I don't like the vibe here. Maybe I was paranoid, and as soon as I said that, she said, "Yeah, I agree. Let's go." That made me even more nervous because I could tell she felt the same creepiness I felt. We go to the back of the backyard where the bathroom is and change. At this point, I'm trying to get out of this backyard and to the house as fast as possible. As my girlfriend heads to the gate and I follow, I feel the hairs on the back of my neck raise, as if someone was looking, following me. Everything about to say happened under 30 seconds. Her and I heading to the gate, and I'm obviously avoiding looking into the house because I'm creeped out. Her and I both notice a camera that was pointed directly at us while we were in the jacuzzi. And then right when we're about to open the gate, my girlfriend says, "Oh shit." I pick her up and we get the hell out of there. Now I believe in something. I don't know if it's ghosts, but I believe in something other than us that's out there. My girlfriend doesn't do ghost talk. It freaks her out. I ask my girlfriend when we get in the car, "Why did you yell? What happened?" She seemed really upset and told me she didn't want to talk about it. She ends up telling me later that night that she saw somebody looking at us through the house windows right when we left the gate, but she couldn't describe what she truly saw. She said it was just staring at us though. Still gives me the chills to this day, but honestly, it could have just been a creep. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Alright. Let's actually switch to funny stories now. Or maybe crazy stories. Alright. My cousin picked up a hitchhiker about 20 years ago. Nice enough guy. My cousin was hungry, so they stopped at McDonald's and grabbed the hitchhiker some breakfast too. Then they dropped him off where he said he was headed. No big deal. The next morning, my cousin's watching the morning news and sees the hitchhiker's face. Dude was a serial killer and had killed someone that picked him up. Cousin calls the cops and they have him come in. Turns out the hitchhiker had killed the very next person after my cousin who had given him a ride. He'd killed a few people who had given him rides. That was his MO. They asked the hitchhiker why he didn't kill my cousin. He said, I'd planned to, but he was a really nice young man. He bought me breakfast, I couldn't kill someone that bought me breakfast. I had something similar happen to me when I was younger. This is someone commenting. I had something similar happen to me when I was younger. I was in Colombia, and at some point I was drunk and took a taxi back to my hotel. I was hungry, so I asked the driver to drive by McDonald's first. And I got a bunch of food and invited the taxi driver as well. We had a good conversation, and later on he dropped me off. Just before he dropped me off, he told me that I should never just get a random taxi, and that he actually intended to rob me with his buddies who were waiting a little further down the road at said McDonald's. But because I bought him food, he didn't go through with it. Spooky. Alright. There's a thread with a question that says, Wingmen of Reddit, what crazy things have you done to get your friend laid? Wingman. Insane. Okay. Alright. My friend was sleeping over at my house. My parents and brother were all sleeping upstairs while we were downstairs watching TV, playing video games and stuff. At around 1 a.m. he asks if this girl can come over. He really wants to get with this girl, and I don't want to turn him down, so I reluctantly agree on the condition that she's quiet. The three of us are hanging out, and I make some excuse to leave the room so my friend can have some alone time with this girl. I'm upstairs in my room when I start hearing loud whimpers. This is bad news for me, but great news for my friend. He's losing his Wii card to a girl he really likes. I hear stirring in the next room, and I know that their bout of loud lovemaking has woken my parents. The last thing I want is for my confused father to walk in on my friend doing this girl in my basement. What do? I go to Pornhub. Click on the first video I see, crank it up to 100 volume on my speakers, and let it play for the 3 minutes that my buddy ended up lasting. My dad ended up coming into my room, discovering the source of the noise. I even threw in some fapping motion under the covers and awkwardly leaving. My buddy ended up having the best time ever, bro. But there were some awkward glances exchanged between my parents and I the next morning. This just might be the greatest wingman of all time. Alright, this is another one. Today I messed up, secretly eating mushrooms while my wife was asleep in a house full of cats. This happened a good long while ago, so not really today. It was April when I started this journey. During the winter, I became a member of a magic mushroom forum and was what? What's a magic mushroom forum? And I was learning all I could about growing magic mushrooms. I tried it once before and grew only a yellowish green mush that smelled of sweaty socks, but this time would be different. I had a spore point sent to me and was off to the races. I had tried mushrooms once before, about 10 years prior, and the experience was rather enjoyable. I have had way too many bad experiences with LSD to ever think about trying it, and from what I remembered, the mushroom experience was much less chaotic and harsh for me than the majority of my acid trips that had been. After following every tip I could gather and about a month and a half of waiting, I had viable mushrooms drying in the food dehydrator. The whole journey from spore print to fruit was done for reasons I don't yet have a great grasp on. I was thinking at the time that growing them would impart some spiritual meaning into my experience. It had been a long, long time since I had taken any illegal substance, and I wanted it to be special in some way. Growing them myself was an attempt at providing that, I guess. The night I took them, I really wasn't planning on doing so. I was bored out of my wits and chatting with online friends. I told them I was going to eat my mushrooms, but didn't know how much to eat without a scale. I took a few pics of my intended dose and posted them and immediately got advice to cut that dose in half. So, with my wife asleep, I went down to the kitchen and made a concoction of purple slushy and powdered mushrooms and gulped it down. I came back up and told the chatters that the deal was done and that I was taking a shower and would be back once the fun started. In the shower, about 5 minutes when I felt a rush like consciousness was being pulled away from my body. I was fighting to keep it with me. It felt as though I had let it fly away. I would have had a full out-of-body experience, but for some reason I felt compelled to hold on to it. I quickly turned off the water and looked down at my feet. They seemed miles away. That is when it hit me that the shrooms were kicking in. Out of the shower, I put on the same clothes I came in with and headed upstairs. The shower is in the basement of the house, and there is a door at the top of the stairs. Opening the door, the light from the kitchen blasted my eyes, and I got a good gauge of how far along in the experience I was. I would see that the kitchen floor looked smooth and had liquid-like texture, but before I could survey any more, my black cat ran down the basement. I didn't want to forget about him down there, and it never really thought that I could just leave the door open and shoo any members of our herd that wandered down there after my trip. I trudged back down the stairs after him and scooped him up and started back up with the stairs. Halfway up, a brown blur flew down the stairs as another cat dove to the basement. I tossed the black one in the kitchen and went after the brown one. Whilst picking up the brown one, the black cat came back down the steps again. I scooped him up too. Now I am carrying 2 cats up the stairs. At the top of the stairs, the door is wide open, and I see our other 3 cats had come to investigate the commotion. As I made the final push to the top, they all jumped into action like they planned it in advance. I started laughing hysterically, let go of the cats in my arms and sat on top of the steps as I watched all the cats bounce down the stairs. I found the whole situation so funny. Here I am opening up hard on mushrooms, Here I am coming up hard on mushrooms. I can feel the confusion building every second, and now I have to figure a way of getting all 5 cats out of the basement. By the time I had collected myself and devised a plan my face was hot and objects were starting to move. Time dilation had manifested and minutes were seeming to take longer and longer. My plan was to go down and capture 1 cat at a time and usher them upstairs. Once I got to 5, my task would be complete. I raced down and grabbed the first cat I came across and ran up to the landing and tossed it pretty forcefully up the last 3 steps into the kitchen so it would get the point that I didn't want them down there. Back down I went and did the same things. That's 2 down and 3 to go. I was getting more confused by the minute, and on the 4th cat, I had forgot how many cats I had previously ushered up the stairs. Facepalm. On my way back down, I decided to count the cats downstairs, and that would let me know how many were upstairs. Unfortunately, the whole time I had neglected one key detail in my foolproof plan. The door was still open. Just as I reached the basement floor, the whole herd came stampeding down again. Plan A was an utter failure. Formulated just as quickly as Plan A was Plan B. Cats have got names, right? I will count the cats as I bring them up and remember the name of each cat so that I don't lose track like the last time. Brilliant! I thump back down the stairs and grab Funchi, the black one, and take him upstairs. He quickly tries to run back down and I push him back and close the door. Back downstairs I grab another cat, Sammy, number 2. I think as I put her up the stairs and close the window behind me. At this point, my mind is worn out. Things are moving very well and walls have waves in them and on them. It is all but impossible to keep my mind on the task at hand. Those 2 things, coupled with the fact that the time dilation is making the last 5 minutes chasing these beasts feel like I have been at it for hours, is making this fool's errand about as much as my brain could handle in its current state. I trudge on trying to complete this task and grab another cat, but again at the top of the stairs I forgot where I was in the order. I put the cat upstairs and tried to count the cats up there to give me an idea of how many were left, but of course, they are not in the kitchen anymore, and again it escapes me that if I just bring up the cats until I run out of cats to retrieve, I will be through with this clusterfuck. Unable to think past my current predicament, I raced down upstairs looking for the cats that had been brought up, and they are nowhere to be found. My state had grown worse, and I started thinking that maybe they got outside. But there was no way they could get out because no one opened the door. The door! I forgot to close the basement door. Frick. I ran back into the kitchen and down the stairs for the 50 quadrillionth time. And bam! There they were, all 5 of them, safe and sound. I had found the missing cats. They weren't outside. My wife would have killed me if they were gone. Me, all high and stuff, and the cats go missing? I might as well pack my stuff and go. What a relief. I love my kittens. Kiss. Wait, are we still in the basement? I am done. My mental ability is gone. Each trip up and down felt like an eternity. I had only just enough energy left to get upstairs to the couch. I kneel by the couch and think about what I'm going to do. I'm mentally exhausted because apparently counting to 5 is impossible when on mushrooms. my mind racing to come up with a solution to this impossible problem, and never once did I think of just leaving them down there until they found something more entertaining to do than drive me out of my frickin' mind. The white flag was up. It was over. I needed the big gun. It was 2 or 3 a.m. and she had to get up and go to work in the morning, but I had no choice. I needed an adult. I have to wake my wife. She would make it all better. She would tame those damn Helians and all will be fine. But it wasn't fine. I went upstairs to her room and woke her in the gentlest way possible, by jumping on the bed and yelling, "Help! I took mushrooms. 5 cats in the basement and I can only count to 4. Not the way I had envisioned it going down in my head, but I was happy to get that much out without forgetting the reason I woke her up in the first place. Sleepily she marched down the stairs and I led her to the kitchen, where the basement door was still open. All I could do was stand at the door and point down the stairs. I think I may have whimpered a little too with my gesture. She was not amused. I thought I was finally going to get closure. She would get the cats from the basement and I would be saved, but no. My savior turned to torment her as she said the only words in the world that could crush me into an even more pitiful state. "Well, go get him," she said. She didn't understand that I was fighting this fight for what seemed like days now, and wanted nothing more than to curl up in the corner and cry until I fell asleep. She had no clue how close I was to a breakdown. Tears welled up and crossed the threshold of the basement door and descended again into my personal hell. I scooped up a kitty and carried it slowly up the stairs, setting it on the kitchen floor. Once my wife said in a long, drawn-out voice, like she was talking to a 2-year-old. Back down I went and grabbed another bundle of joy and slinked up the stairs, only to be shamed again by a long, drawn-out too. By the third cat, short, audible poo-poo sounds were coming from me as I was almost to the breaking point. My wife had begun to laugh at me and seemed to laugh harder each time I came up, even more beaten than before. When the last cat came up, I was greeted by a sighing 5. Now was that so hard for my wife? I tried to apologize, but she waved me off with a stern, "We'll talk about this in the morning," and walked upstairs to bed. The cat ordeal was over, but the trip was far from it. I was immensely grateful to my online buddies who talked me into halving the dose, because the rest of the night was filled with confusion and mindfuckery with intense time dilation. Not really a bad trip as bad trips go, but not at all enjoyable. I think I can cross mushies off the list of viable boredom relievers. I won't be doing them again anytime soon, that is for sure. Oh my gosh, that was long. That was really long. Maybe that was a good 20 minutes worth of reading. Funny. Alright, alright, alright. I feel sleepy now. I hope you're sleeping. Okay, there's another one under the thread that goes, what is the most funniest story that you've ever heard? One of them says, this is freaking genius. If you were sentenced to, let's say, 10 years in jail, what would you do with your time? I would go into the most crowded room, the dinner hall maybe. Then I would squat out a shit right in the middle, while maintaining eye contact with anyone I could. Marking my territory, you know. And who's going to tackle a dude squatting out a deuce? A douche? Anyway, I would likely get disciplined for that, but I would continue to do it at any opportunity. I would do it in a shared cell if I had one as well. Then, when I feel I'd made it clear that this was my town, I'd get myself a shiv. Nothing fancy, just a reliable shanking tool. I'd go around eating other people's food and shanking anyone who tried to stop me. What's shanking? What's shanking? Starting to make a name for myself now. People are going to know who runs shit around here. Literally. Pretty soon, even the guards would be wary of me. Probably leave me to do my own thing. No one is going to want to get stabbed over a couple of french fries. Once I'd made a name for myself as the Dawn of the jail, I'd unite all factions. Asians, whites, blacks, Nazis, Crips, and Bloods. Triads. They'd all join to make one super gang with me at the head. Then eventually we'd make the break. No way a person can stop a full-scale breakout if it's properly planned and executed, with each individual working as a part of a unit. Then we'd go to the nearest top and pop out shits at every public area, while keeping eye contact, of course. Then private areas like houses and such, make the population know that we run the town. After repeating the prison process and making an entire town a part of my gang, we'd go on to the nearest city, dropping douches everywhere. You know the drill. Then the world. I don't know if that's absolutely disgusting or funny. Bosses of Reddit, what's the weirdest reason you have had to fire an employee? We had a kid that worked at the deli in the supermarket from my hometown who was fired after he ate all the skin off of every rotisserie chicken they had. That's the best part. I feel quite sleepy, and also a bit tired from talking because my voice is kind of still recovering from the cold, you know. Alright. I'll leave you to it, guys. I hope you're resting so far. I hope you're enjoying this, but I will end this a bit early. I hope this video calmed you down and helped you fall asleep or made you feel like company. And if you're studying, I hope you're studying well. Keep going at it with the game ASMR that follows. Just a bit more enjoy, I want you to comment down below if you made it so far. And if you're watching still, and just your thoughts or anything actually. And make sure to come back for the next episode. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Rest well.